For how long have you been straight? You know, how do you know that you're straight? Were you born straight? Did your experiences make you straight? You know, so in recognizing that other people don't have to answer to such questions, it's just never bothered me to think, why is it that I'm gay? Because nobody says, why am I straight?
Gay people or people who are, differently oriented sexually experience a lot of animosity just for being different, for expressing who and what they are.
I was raped 3 times by the time I was 19. That does not even begin to describe the other forms of violence that I have had to experience. Although I think the 3 are more brutal and leave deeper scars than the rest.
Join me, Elizabeth Marshall, as we take a road trip through the South African psyche, taking you to the edge of society's norms and beyond. It's time for Tales from the Edge. Writing a book affords one the opportunity of research, and I've come to realize that South Africa sports one of the most liberal constitutions in the world. But the sad reality is that too few of us embrace the very essence of our democracy, which is tolerance. Keke is living proof of this. A filmmaker and gay rights activist, she was raped 3 times by the age of 18. Her only crime was being gay. This is the rape of innocence.
I consult for various LGBTI organizations within the country, directed at making the lives of women in particular a lot better. And it is mainstream because outside of the fact that I'm a lesbian, I'm first a black female.
It was during Gay Pride and Keke was being interviewed on television. So we were watching the news, and my mother was there watching the news with us. She was shocked. Her initial reaction was shock. So I said, well, Mom, please relax, let Keke be. So, after that, she was okay. You never, as a parent, think that one day my girl will be going out with another girl, or my boy will be going out with a boy. So naturally, that was the reaction.
I remember at one stage I said, hey, I want to Abba gay. And she said, then what's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong. Then she was leading me to suspect that she's also inclined to be gay.
Keke is an amazing person. She's a phenomenal woman if one takes into account, her life story. She serves as an inspiration that, irrespective of what one has gone through in their lives, that you can actually use those negative experiences as a catalyst so that, you don't necessarily have to look at the negative as a crutch.
The experiences have made me a stronger person because I realized that you can hurt me, but you can't get to me if I don't let you. When you are angry, it's easier for you to convert the anger into productive energy. Half the things that I've achieved have been achieved in anger. So I found inspiration in the people that have hurt me. That in my wanting to prove to them that they could not win.
Action!
Keke's films serve as representations of inner angst, artistically framing the screen with those deep-rooted emotional scars she's forced to bear.
If one takes a look at her piece, Inkanyezi, it serves as an agent provocateur in the sense that it speaks to the fact that within culture, and in particular in African culture, one's sexual identity inherently is a part of who you are, but it does not necessarily define who you are as a person. 30 Seconds speaks to the daily realities within the gay communities, in particular because it focuses on issues of hate crime. And I mean, it's something that has been swept under the carpet, not only by the communities in which these events take place, but also the legal aspects of our society. In particular, if one looks at the South African police services, there's no real sense of commitment in actually solving those type of crimes within the various communities.
10% of gay and lesbian people face hate crimes in South Africa, and that is black lesbian women that has been sexually abused.
The first one, I was 13 years old.
This here is where it happened. The very first time when I was 13 years old. The blue car came from this direction and my friends and I had come from the same direction. But we would have turned that way to go home, which is about 2-3 minutes away from here. But then again, they came and they put me in the car and they sped away that way. And yeah, I suppose this marks the whole thing. This is where it all starts.
Inside the car, I'm trying to understand what's happening, and I ask the guy, why? What's happening? Why are you doing this? He was like, what do you mean? Don't you understand? I'm like, no, I don't understand. And I was like, why are you doing this to me? He says, girls like you mean that we can't have girlfriends. I was then taken to a veld in White City. There I was raped by 4 of them. They found a cardboard and they put the cardboard down, and I don't think they realized how young I was, because they had an expectation that I would know what to do. I remember being beaten up because I didn't know how wide to open my legs or what to do with my legs. Then they took me to the school, and it was sex on the desk, on the floor. It just didn't matter, And I mean, it was repeated. One would get on, one would get off. I don't know why I did not pass out at some point, and I don't know whether it was also a survival skill or whatever. But I just honed on to one particular guy. He himself took me to a completely different room to have sex with me alone, and then he walked me home. That was my first experience.
No person should be brutalized like that. Oh, it is just wrong, because that is breaking into the core of your being. That is just, I don't know of any more invasive of a more invasive act than a rape.
I know that I wanted to be alive more than anything. I just remember more than anything that I didn't want them to kill me. When you come home the following day, my mother walked in, she was shocked. I'd like to believe that she was shocked, because I can't understand why I would get that kind of a reaction. She walked in, I was there, I was crying, I'm 13 years old. She has been told what has happened, and she is like, this is what happens to girls like you.
In the past era, things were not as easy as now. I wasn't an exception.
It was my wish for her to be protected. And unfortunately, I could not do that.
You see it, you feel it, you hear it. My relationship with life, people, changed somewhat. It was at that point that I just started hating school. No one spoke about it. No one spoke about it at home. It was just me, my own pain, until the next one happened.
It's really important to create preventative strategies in communities where every society belongs to. The important part is because LGBTI people face victimization at a very home level and life orientation session in school level, where you educate learners around human rights, you educate them around different sexual orientations and gender identity. But that also comes with a preventative strategy around creating awareness and education. And I think that's one of the gaps as black communities that are missing in our communities. There's no understanding.
The first question that springs to my mind is, how does a 13-year-old process an invasive and shocking event like rape? The answer: surely she must strive for what her community tells her is normal.
At 15, I was trying to find a sense of normal. I wanted to be a normal teenager. But everybody had boyfriends, and I think I wanted to be like everyone. And so I started dating. I had a boyfriend. We broke up. We didn't have sex because that's just something I didn't do. I mean, you can imagine my experiences with sex were not the greatest. He had left his pager. There were no cell phones then. It was a pager. He had left, which I'd given to my friend to hold on to. He bugged me for months. He was like, I want my pager, I want my pager. I was like, okay, no, come get your pager. We'll go to my friend and go get it. This one particular day he came. It was in the evening, early evening, around 5, 6. So I get in the car. The next thing I know, the doors are locked, and instead of turning left, he turns right and speeds away. And we end up in his house in Serbokom, where I was raped again. And his reason was that I owed it to him. That I could not have been his girlfriend and broken up with him without having had sex with him. He was entitled to have sex with me. He brought me back that same night. I got into the house, had a bath, and I went to sleep. Didn't tell anyone. It was at this point that, it just got a bit too difficult, because it's one thing being raped once, it's another being raped twice. Then you start to think, what am I doing? What is it about me that people want to look at and want to have sex with? I started hating myself. I tried the church thing, and I remember being prayed for at youth service so that I could find my purpose as a woman. Eventually, I transformed into a girl. I entered beauty pageants, won some. I had boyfriends. And then I got invited to a party by my friend's brother. And I got to the party, and there were people, and we had fun. Then I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and my friend was gone. But the party was still going on. There was no reason to be suspicious of anything. And I asked my friend's brother, Chaf, I was like, yeah, I'll take you home. Cool. He did rape me that night, though. And his reason was that he wanted to remind me what it's like to be an African woman. That was the last straw. A big part of me died then. My family was very supportive, but the entire community said it was my fault.
I was close to that boy's mother, and already she knew about the whole thing, but she never disclosed anything to me.
He was the man that girls would want to go out with, just not the one I wanted, or that I wanted to go out with him. I knew I couldn't possibly fight him. I couldn't possibly fight him by myself, so I needed the law. I went and I laid the charge, which made the situation a bit more drawn out than, the previous ones where you get raped, you come home, you have a bath, and you pretend that it didn't happen and you move on.
It was not an easy way because this guy was a figure well known in the area, and I think she had some little money to him. He used to entertain people and he used to say whatever he thought was best to suit him.
Everybody then ostracized me and my family to the point that my mother had to move out. It was so quick, we had to move out and come back to this house because the entire street automatically turned on us. This guy's mother was also my mother's friend, offered to pay damages 5,000 rand. So all the pain and suffering and all the beating up I had endured, the nights I got raped was worth 5,000 rand. And my mother was supposed to accept that as a peace offering. My mother said no. And that cost her dearly. But it was worth it because I understand that he did do time for it. But regardless of anything, the fact that I did something about it was empowering.
We know at the moment we don't have hate crime legislation in place, which would come with guidelines, with policies that will look at mechanism in reporting these cases, mechanism in prosecuting and sentencing. So with lack of that, the case that went through to the magistrate and had secured conviction, which is the UD case, did not identify a motive to this kind of incidents. So which are the gaps? Our justice system is not conducive enough. Our constitution is not implemented enough where our communities is protected.
As a partner, she's inspired me to do more. The mind that she has, she's a dreamer, and there are very few people in this day and age that actually dream and actually want to see their dreams become a reality. So she's actually reignited that spark that somewhat had died within me. So I'd say she's my light.
I wish her to go on with her life. She can make decisions. I cannot. But presently she's okay with what she is, and I'm at home now. She's my child. NgesiZulu bathi akunamgqomo kadoti. So you've got to love your kids. You've got to be with them in difficult times. You've got to support them.
Kushuthi mina la ekhaya yimi ubhuti wala ekhaya. Mina ngihloniphile i-decision yakhe. Uyangizwa bhuti, ngicela ningilalele kahle. Even if na umama uyayazi lonto. Yeah, nobody ongayazi. Yazi ukuthi ngendlela engimthanda ngakhona, angazi ukuthi nginga-expressa kanjani. Ngimthanda kakhulu because naye uyangithanda. Ngiyakhona ukuthi nami noma ngiswele anything, ngiyakhona ukuyokhalela ngakuye, and then shoulder ngiyakwazi ukuyithola shoulder kuye.
Well, we're at the 2010 Pride. We've arrived. Everybody's here. The one good thing about being here, you're in the same space with people like you. You're in a protected space. So Pride for us is like Christmas. It only happens once a year.
Forum for the Empowerment of Women is an organization that was founded at my house in Boksburg. And this organization came about as a need to create a safe space for black lesbians. It was a space where we would come together and talk about issues. But then it soon emerged that there was a whole lot of us who were wounded birds. A lot of us had experienced hate crimes in our, in our personal capacities, and we didn't know how to deal with it. We all didn't know how to deal with it. We all didn't know what needed to be done. And so came about the concept of The Rose Has Thorns, which is a campaign that we started to deal with hate crimes, and deal with hate crimes in a holistic manner. We didn't want people going to counseling and doing what I did. You go there, you talk to someone, and then what? You have to find assist people in identifying coping mechanisms.
I'm very proud of what Ukeke has become. I'm proud of her as a person. I'm proud of her as a spiritual being. I'm proud of her as a filmmaker, as an activist, as my sister. She intends to live life to the fullest. I remember when she was a teenager, she said she wanted to live like Uprenda Fasi. I was like, whoa, why are you telling me you want to be reckless or something? And she said, no, I just want to be myself. And that is what Ukeke is.
Ukeke's activism has actually helped to shape the way many upcoming gay and lesbian activists see themselves. Because currently within the community we do not have leaders of the past who are actually still playing a fundamental role in terms of shaping how young people view the political activism within the gay community. So through her work, she's actually brought out a sense that, look, the struggle is not over, and that we still have a long way to go in terms of us achieving the basic rights that are entrenched within the Constitution that we are still not guaranteed as, you know, as a community.
I would have rather have been a go-getter, even if it wasn't that strong a go-getter, than the angry person, because it's not nice to be angry all the time. You laugh today and you wonder when next you're going to be crying. I don't want to be angry. I don't think anybody wants to be angry, like you're just angry at the world, or you just, you know, I don't think anybody wants to be an angry person. I don't want to be an angry person. I want to be inspired by music, by art. My films are inspired by my own personal experiences, wanting to change the way people see things so that other people don't have to go through what. But I really would have loved to have other inspirations. Nothing can destroy me. I have hit rock bottom and bounced back way too many times that nothing else can shatter me.
Forthright, bold, brave and creative are words that spring to mind when describing the inspirational figure that Keke has become, but with too high a price: the rape of innocence.